and a very warm welcome to our YouTube this evening. Well, this film is about the Westland Lysander, and this particular aircraft that we feature in the first part of the film is the Westland Lysander that was built in Canada, in Ontario in 1942, and it served with the Royal Canadian Air Force. Now, it ended its service days in 1946 when it was sold to a prairie farmer, and there it sat for nearly 30 years before it was then donated to the museum in 1975. Well, the Friends of Canadian Warplane began restoration to flight, and it finally flew for the first time in 2009, almost 60 years from when it last flew. Now, it's finished in the black and yellow stripes, which are from its service days when it was target towing, and the theory was that it was meant to be meant to stand out, so that when they were when the guns were firing, they didn't obviously hit the Lysander. Now, I've interspersed some bits and pieces of the Shuttleworth Lysander, which is over here in the UK, just really to show you the general sort of the general bones and the engine part of the airframe and all the bits and pieces there. I really hope you enjoy it. Stick around, there's lots to see, and we'll take a look at some further Lysanders later in the film. So take care, sit back and enjoy the film.
Flying. He's flying.
Holy jeez. Oh, boy. How much did he use? Holy jeez, not much at all. 50 feet? Oh my God, 1946.
records have been broken in the design and construction of the new Westland Army Cooperation monoplane. Only 12 months ago it was just a blueprint, and here's the first public demonstration of the completed machine. It's designed for Air Force cooperation with the Army, for observation, for taking photographs and for directing gunfire. And because its pilot and observer must spend long periods in the air, everything has been designed for their comfort, with plenty of room in a specially heated super cabin. But the most extraordinary thing is the way the machine can almost stand still in the air and then shoot off again at top speed. And though the top speed figure is still a secret, it's known to approach that of the fastest fighter. Because of its hovering capabilities, the new machine requires an extraordinarily small space in which to land. And as soon as its wheels touch the ground, powerful brakes check its run. A worthy new machine for the Royal Air Force.
And the Royal Air Force takes delivery of a new monoplane, the Westland Army Cooperation type. Landing lights and the wheel spats are among the new features of this high-wing monoplane, which has an astonishingly short takeoff and a very wide range of speed. Maximum is comparable with that which formerly could only be attained by single-seater fighters, and yet she can start for landing, as our illustration proves. Altogether a wonderful...
Members of a Royal Canadian Air Force squadron working under the Army Cooperation Command. For the time being, the Lysander is evidently their machine.
My name's Dave Hadfield. I'm a volunteer pilot with Vintage Wings of Canada. We're a charity, a flying museum based in Ottawa at the Gatineau Airport. And this is a 1942 Westland Lysander. It was used during the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan primarily to train gunners. The belly of that airplane, they could deploy a big reel, like a giant fishing reel, and release about 1,000 feet of line, and then on the end of that a big canvas drogue. And then other aircraft would make runs on this drogue and try and teach the gunners how to shoot. Its British-built counterparts over in England were used from 1942 to 44 to support the French resistance movement. And they'd take off on moonlit nights. People like Cliff Stewart, whose name's on the side of our airplane, would be dropped off in some little French pasture, and he'd help the French resistance with dynamite and detonators and radios and codes and ciphers. And in fact, he did that 5 times, and he was never caught. It wasn't really its original design, plan, to drop off spies in France, but it turned out to be very effective for that. I have a sponsor called the Lysander Fund. Just below the cockpit, that's their logo. They're a wonderful sponsor. The president and founder of the company was in the Air Force, and his father flew these airplanes just after World War II. My dad was a pilot, and we were all raised with airplanes and with aviation. It just seemed to be a natural progression. We grew up on a farm. We learned machinery and basic, mechanical care and operation on tractors and things like that. And to be honest, an old tractor is pretty good preparation for looking after this thing. My brother Chris Hadfield, he's actually also busy with Vintage Wings. He flies the F-86 Sabre. The best way to acquaint young people with Canadian aviation history or military aviation history as well is to bring them out to the airplane and open up the door, and they can poke the fabric and they can get oil on their fingers, and later they can hear it and smell it as we start the engine and the cloud of oil smoke and watch it take off. And that'll make an impression that a book doesn't.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed that very brief look at the Westland Lysander. It's truly a remarkable aircraft, and we'll take a look at it a bit more in the future. But in the meantime, please have a ponder about subscribing. Really hope you can enjoy joining me on some of my other films, and look forward to seeing you there, and take the greatest of care. All the very best for now. Cheers.